Today on Dusty Ridge, we're going to discuss how to handle high temperatures if you're farming. Out here on my farm, I rotationally graze cattle, sheep, and also pasture raised pork. So all of my animals are out on grass, 365 or in the woods. We don't have a barn here. The only thing I have is a little lean-to that we use for a wind block in the wintertime if it's extremely cold. So when it comes to high temperatures like we have this week, today's supposed to be 95. The rest of the week is going to be in the high 90s, maybe even hotter than that, we'll see. But the humidity is going to be really high as well. It's already muggy today. It's about 8:30 in the morning and it's 80 something degrees already. I'm sweating. So we're going to go over some tips that we use to help our animals stay out on pasture all year round. So the first thing I'm going to do is I got some all natural fly spray. I do this even if it's not super hot, but especially when they already have the stress of the heat, I want to make sure that I can help them out with anything else. And also we're filling up their water tanks. Make sure they have plenty of cold water. I'm lucky here we have a well, so our water comes out extremely cold from the ground, so that helps the animals make sure that they get cold water all day. It comes out about 55 degrees, so it definitely takes a while for that to heat up, especially if you put them in these big stock tanks where they have a couple 100 gallons sitting there. Even the hot sunshine takes a few days before it really warms it up too much. So now we're going to spray these animals down, get some of the flies off of them, let them get a drink. They were pretty low on water this morning, so that's why they've been fighting over it a little bit in the background here. Time it, boys. Come on. Let's get the flies off of you. Oh, yeah. So the important thing with this, or any fly spray, is to make sure you don't get it in their eyes. Got all the cows sprayed down here. It seems to be working pretty decent. She does still have some right around her eyes and her nose. It was harder to get it sprayed on there, and I didn't want to hit her in the face and the eyes too hard with it, so I just gave her a little bit. It's definitely a lot better on her belly and backside though. She's got a lot less flies on them. It's definitely preventing them, so yeah, that's working there. We'll show you the rest of the cows here, show you where they're at also. That's another tip. It's one thing that you got when you rotationally graze, you need to plan ahead, so that's definitely what I did here. See, most of the flies are off these, especially this boy here. It did a really good job on him, and this is exactly how we want our cows here to look in the summertime. See how slicked off he is? He's got just a tad bit of the long hair up there, but we're still in June, so he might slick that off. These calves here, you can tell the big difference with these standing beside each other, especially this one here. See the longer fur versus that? We want them to look more like that, which calves, their first year always do that, so hopefully next year they're able to slick off. That's one way you can tell if the animals are getting a good diet, is whether they lose their fur when they slick off or not. Also, both of these two are my bull calves, so we just banded them this weekend, so we're turning them into steers. They seem to be doing pretty well with it so far, so fingers crossed all goes well for them. It's a slow process, but they don't seem to be in too much pain. They're up, moving around and eating, so that's what we like to see. Another key to getting your animals through high temperatures like this is always planning ahead and making sure you have rotations where the animals are going to be able to get into some shade all day. Here they've got the ability, see, you can see the fence line there. They can get down into here and all the way back through there. That gets into some nice deep shade. We're really early in the morning here, so the sun's coming in at this angle here, but once it gets up higher in the sky up there, this is all gets shaded out really well, and it helps the animals have a nice place to cool off. So during the hot periods of the day, they'll be down in there hanging out. They can even get up through here. This whole bank here gets nice and shaded. Then in the evening times, they'll come out here and they can graze, and then they go back in here, which they do seem to like, even though it's not strong grass, this more of the weeds and stuff that we have in this area. They really seem to enjoy eating this because they have annihilated this here in front of me. No animals had been in here for 3 months almost, so this grass was knee high, and they've ate this first. It's actually kind of surprising, but they seem to prefer it versus the other side of the fence line. You can see just how much grass is over there still. So they definitely, given the opportunity, they like to hang out in the shade and eat, and also strip the leaves off of honeysuckle, any vines that they can get to. So don't think that cows won't clear some brush or weeds for you. They definitely will. They're a little bit more choosy than what the sheep or goats would be on it. So our two mama cows here and the Jersey up on top of the hill, it's pretty obvious to tell. Just look at the difference in these two as far as the body condition. So we're really focusing on trying to improve our two mama cows. We don't know for sure if we're going to try to breed them back this year, just because they seem like they're in pretty rough shape. When we got them, they were not exactly in the best body condition, so we've been trying to slowly add it back onto them, but we'll see. We've been giving them plenty of good high quality grass, and then we're also starting to give them a little bit of grain. The boys fight in there and take some of it too, but we feel like they definitely need it with the calves nursing on them and what they've been doing. It seems like their body needs that extra calories, so we're going to try seeing if that helps them out any. This calf rubbing his head on the back of the steer. I don't know if he's just doing it to get flies off of him or if he thinks there's milk back there, but sadly mistaken, buddy, if you're trying to get milk out of him. But here's a good close-up of just how well he's slicked off. So that's what you want to see if you're raising your animals, to be outside and to have the ability to hang out in the hot summer. You want them to slick off like that. You don't want them to have a long, thick coat. This also lets you know that they're getting the minerals that they need. If they don't, if they have a lot of fur still hanging around and it's hard to come off, usually that's a sign that they're not getting the right minerals that they need. So we also did put a mineral block out for them. I'm not sure if it's even still up here. They were destroying it the other day. We'll take a look at it. Put them in this area about 3 days ago, I think it's been now. So they've done some work on it already. It did get pretty tall. I don't see their minerals. When I say that I'm feeding grain, here's what I've got. I've got some sweet feed. It's got different minerals in there for them, a little bit of protein, some extra calories to help. And between all 7 cows, we're just every 3 or 4 days we're giving, half a bucket full, if that. So also, here's the last area that we just came through. I need to come back through afterwards. I think I'm going to mow the seed heads down a little bit just to make it a little prettier. I'm going to make a full-length video on my pasture condition when I get a little bit of time. I've been working a lot here, so maybe this weekend I'll be able to do that. But even after we get off of it, you can tell we always leave some grass. Don't take everything you've got, because especially with as hot and as dry as it's getting up here right now, if we took everything, we would not have much grass to graze when we come back through. So always want to protect that. And we've still got plenty of grass. I don't even have plans to get back in there, but we've got plenty of grass for it if we ever needed to. So that's the thing. Always, when you're rotationally grazing, you always want to make sure you've got more grass than you need. It's always better to be on that side of it than trying to find some hay or something else to feed these cows, because they need to be fed. So you got to always have a plan on how you're going to get it to them. Our sheep are hard at work here. They're still trying to slick off. I'm worried about this one. She does not seem like she's slicking off as quick as I want to. The rest of them are on par with how they were doing last year. The one in the middle here, Sally, she's a year older than all of the rest. So last year, I'm judging how quick they're losing their fur or wool, whatever you want to call it, based on how they did last year. And she was about this time last year, maybe a little bit sooner. This black and white one that's turning around here, she did excellent. You can tell she hardly has any. I think these ones were mixed, a little bit more wool in them than just straight hair sheep, because of just how long they're hanging on to it. I feel bad for these girls. I wish I could get it all off of them, but it seems like it's flying off really quick here. So they are doing some weed eating for me. That is a big steep bank that they're taking care of, because I didn't want to do all that. So I ran it actually way over there. It's their fence line, so they can get all the way around this bank and the garage and everything and take care of it for me. They're doing a pretty good job of that. This is my head chute that I've got. It works pretty well. It's a custom made, homemade version. We used this when we banded the calves the other day. So I did not mow this. This is how well the sheep have cleared it up. Down in here, they still got a little bit to clean up, so I don't have to weed eat, but against the side of that building, they've definitely taken care of it. The longer stuff seems to be the stuff they leave last. Sheep really seem to enjoy the shorter grass more so than the longer grass. That's what I've learned anyway. So, all right, so here's one of our steers. He's getting himself a nice drink, and this water tank's full, and that one there is just about full as well. So now the next thing we've got to do, we're going to head down to the pigs. We're going to give them a top off their water. They should still have some. Then I got to give them some feed, and I'll show you how pigs are able to handle themselves in this hot weather. But like I said, this water here, nice and cold and clean. That's what you want your animals to have. Clean, cold water and a lot of shade is going to help these animals. A lot of folks think that you need a barn to be able to have animals when it gets this hot, or in the wintertime when it gets really cold. The animals don't want to be in the barn. They'd rather be out here. So if you give them access to it, they would be out here 9 times out of 10. That's how we see it on our farm. We want our animals to be able to thrive out here on pasture. So if they're not able to, if somebody else is raising them in feedlots and has a bunch of barns and stuff, that's not really the animals that we want to purchase when we're looking at getting animals and starting our herds. We want to source animals that are used to living out here, don't we, buddy? Say, my whole life I've been out here. We picked them up from the dairy, and they haven't been back in a barn since, and they were about a week old when we picked them up from the dairy. So they've done excellent out here. Really, as long as you make sure they have grass, plenty of shade, and some cold water, cattle will do excellent. Also, think about heritage breeds. These two are mainly Jerseys, and then our one over here, our mama cow, she's a Jersey, and then obviously we got the 2 Holsteins. Then we got cross calves with the 2 darker calves. They are Angus and dairy crosses, and then the black and white calf there, obviously he's a Holstein. But they the heritage breeds definitely seem to do well out here. The mama cows, I think it's really just a matter of them nursing and being dairy, of why their body condition's falling behind a little bit. But we'll work on that. We'll get them straightened back out. And also, it's just beautiful to see animals out here on grass. This is what you want. If you're going to have cows, they need to be raised this way. And in my opinion, you know, I'm not an expert by any means, but it definitely seems like this is the way to do it. Keeping them in a barn or keeping them in just a little fenced in area like I got here, my little corral. If I kept them in here, they would have this just tore to shreds. And you know, they come through every now and then, they clean it up, and then I move them out onto the rest of the field. That's how cattle should be moved, or raised, I should say. They need to be moved around, that sort of thing. So let me get out to the pigs, and then we'll follow up with you again. Okay, made it down here to the pig pen. Just got them fed. In case you were wondering, I have a video on how I built this feeder. The feeder seems to be working well. They did rip the front of it off. I thought that might happen. Eventually, once I get rid of these pigs, I'll probably reinforce that for the next bunch that I'm going to run through. And I've got their water filled up, and I made a little bit of a mud hole over there. I've got another 50-gallon tank over there filling up for them. So now I'm going to go over the tips that I use to keep my pigs happy and healthy when it gets this warm outside. So I'm in Southeast Ohio. Our normal July high is about 85, 86 degrees. So being in the mid to upper 90s is unusual for us, maybe a couple times a year. Definitely not this early in June. It's highly unusual. We're approaching record high status. So it's not something that my animals are used to. It's not something that I'm used to yet. Just last week, we were mid 70s all week. So I think that's why it seems that much hotter to us. But for pigs, the biggest thing that you can do, again, is that cold, clean, fresh water. So you need to make sure you give that to them. And the pigs are a lot different than what most livestock are. Cows and sheep also can't sweat, just like a dog, but they pant. So you'll see them doing that a lot. Cows, not so much. Definitely the sheep, you'll see them pant. Pigs won't do that. What pigs will do, you can see it on them right now. They will cover themselves in mud. That's how they cool themselves down. A lot of people think that's why pigs are so dirty, which technically, yes, they're in the mud, so they are dirty. But there's a lot of misconceptions about it, that they actually roll in their own feces, things like that. Pigs won't do that if you give them the opportunity to do otherwise. I'll show you here in a second. They have designated areas where they go to the bathroom, and then they have designated areas where they create their wallows, is what they're called, or a mud hole. They will do that, and then that's really the biggest thing. And then also the shade. Pigs have to have shade. Their skin, even on my darker colored ones here, they can get sunburnt, so that's another reason why they roll in the mud, to protect themselves from the sun. Like a sunblock can also help cool them down, because you got the water and the moisture in that. Just like us, how when we have moisture on our skin, like I do right now, it helps me cool down from the evaporation. The same thing happens with a pig. They just can't sweat, so they have to manufacture the evaporation through the mud and the moisture that's on them. So I'll show you the setup that we've got for them. These are pastured pork. If you're not familiar with that term, what that means is we take our pigs, and I've got a fence back here, you can see it, and we put them in a pasture or a forest or a paddock, whatever you want to call it, some sort of area outside, under the trees, in the woods, in nature, so that way they can try to live their best life. They have cleaned this area up tremendously. Honestly, I probably need to get them moved here shortly, but we don't have time for that just today. So here's one mud hole that I give them, and they'll come through and they'll just roll right in here where it's nice and sticky, get themselves coated in that. So the other side of the fence, this is what this area looked like before I put pigs in here, and then this is what it looks like after pigs. So pigs can be very creative. You have to manage them properly, or they will destroy areas. So what we're doing with this, the cows and the sheep are that dip that they were in, that's that right over there. So my idea is I'd eventually want to run pigs through all of this here and help clean up a lot of the brush and stuff that's coming up through here. That way eventually I can reseed this with some good grass and give the cows and the sheep, my grazers, somewhere good to hang out during the summertime. I would like this to become just a nice grassy meadow down here with some trees for shade, that sort of thing. And then also the same thing would apply in the wintertime, because it'd be nice and sheltered. I could put the animals down in here. This is a nice ravine. You can see a hill on this side. I'll try not to move too fast here. There's also a hill on this side over here. So they would be able to get down in here, get out of the wind, have a little protection from that in the wintertime. And then also in the summertime, obviously they could get down on this bottom. Hopefully there'd be a little bit of cooler air, definitely a lot of shade and stuff for them. They could get into some mud if they wanted to, because there's a creek that naturally flows over in there. So that's the idea behind why we've got the pigs. They're helping us clear out some areas, and then they're going to eventually help turn this into pasture. And I've reseeded this already over there where the pigs have been through before with some grass seed. So they're definitely helping to shape our landscape. So this is a 55-gallon blue drum with a metal nipple drilled into the side of it, about where 10 gallons is. I have a video on the channel if you'd like to see the details on exactly how I made this. And then we're close enough out here that I can run a water hose. It takes me about 10 of them, but I can stretch them from the house down into here. So where the cows are at, I can move them along with this water hose the whole time and just unscrew a section, fill up the cow's water, fill up the pig's water with the same water hose. So it's definitely helpful, again, to have a plan and think of things like that, because when it gets this hot, you need to make sure that your animals have plenty of water, and you also need to be moving them still. You can't just stop moving them because it's hot out. They will definitely appreciate being moved. It helps keep parasites down, gives them fresh areas to eat and scavenge like the pigs will. If you've made it this far in the video and you haven't subscribed yet, please do so. Hopefully you found this video useful. I'm always trying to share my tips and tricks that I use here on my farm in Southeast Ohio, where I rotationally graze my cattle, my sheep, and I pasture raise my pork. So please subscribe to the channel. If you have any questions or comments, please drop those below. As for right now, I'm hot and sweaty. I worked all night long, so I'm ready to go inside, get a nice shower, get something to eat, and head to bed. But I do appreciate everybody taking the time to watch this video, and as always, have a great day.